Welcome, everyone. Please go ahead and take a moment to get settled in. Thank you for joining. We're going to take a couple minutes to allow everyone to come in, grab their lunch, and get comfortable for our session today. We'll be starting in just a minute or two. Welcome, everyone. I do just want to give a warning that recording is in progress, so do just keep that in mind as you toggle on or off your camera. We will be uploading the recording to our website after today's session. Okay, wonderful. Just to respect everyone's time, we'll go ahead and get started. So today we do have Kwan Nuan and Hio No here today, who will be discussing perceived discrimination and sense of community belonging among Canadian young adults. We do have just a couple items of housekeeping and some other points before we get started here. So first, I just want to say thank you for carving out some time in your schedule today and being part of our community where we get a chance to share and learn together. I do want to do a land acknowledgement. I myself am tuning in from the unceded and traditional territory of the Six Nations of the Grand River, as well as the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. And I invite you to also join the chat right in where you are tuning in from today or another land acknowledgement piece. Immigrant Services Calgary's head office is located on the traditional territories of the Blackfoot Confederacy and the people of Treaty 7 region in southern Alberta, which includes the Siksika, the Piikani, the Kainai, the Tsuut'ina, and the Stoney Nakoda First Nations. The city of Calgary is also home to the Métis Nations of Alberta, Districts 5 and 6. Just some housekeeping items here, so please do remember to mute your microphone when you are not speaking, whether you are new to Lunch and Learns or Microsoft Teams in general. You can see that by that microphone icon, and you want to see a diagonal line through it to indicate that you are muted. For any questions, we do have a period at the end of the presentation today, which we are reserving for a question and answer discussion. But you're more than welcome to plop your questions into the chat, and we will certainly come back to the questions at the end. During that period, you can also use the Q&A function icon or raise your hand to prompt that discussion. Okay, and just another reminder that we are currently recording the session. We also will have a few photos and screenshots that will be taken for our LinkedIn and Instagram platforms. We always love seeing your faces, but we're also mindful that this is a lunch and learn, so many of you are eating while you're tuning in today. So please just do turn on your camera if you feel comfortable, or leave it off. We leave it up to you. So please do invite any of your colleagues or friends to our lunch and learn sessions. Next up is Tuesday, March 25th. So there has been a bit of a recent schedule change there. For those of you who attended our November session in 2024, you will recognize the name. John Shields joined us previously to speak on the role of advocacy in immigrant settlement agencies. He is returning with Valerie Preston to present on reforming settlement services to include temporary migrants. So they will be sharing their policy preview on how to better support temporary foreign workers. And you will see the schedule change reflected on our website and in this team's registration page in the next coming week or so. So stay tuned for that, and we hope to see you there as well. Additionally, the Knowledge Hub has just launched our first newsletter issue. So there is the QR code for that. We do invite you to subscribe to our quarterly newsletter. This helps you stay updated on any of our lunch and learn topics, KHAP news, or other resources pertaining to the settlement sector. I will also be putting both links for the lunch and learn sign up and the newsletter sign up into the chat once I pass it over to our presenters. And the last thing before we get to hear from them is our monthly poll. So as always, if 70% of us or more would like a refresher on Gateway and K-Hub, I can do a quick overview of these initiatives for us. And just give me one moment here and I can launch that poll. Awesome. And we will just give a moment or two for those responses to come in. Okay, we're at 50-50. I think it was very close last session as well. Still looking quite below that 70% mark, so I will go ahead and introduce our presenters now. Wonderful. I will pass it over to Kwan and Hugh, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Lindsay, for inviting us for attending for presenting our work today. So I think it's a very important opportunities, and I really appreciate that. I think the first time Jessica contact with you and invited to present our work. So I think it is better for you to take some brief note first, and then we can come to the presentation in detail later.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Hugh Van Gogh, Associate Dean of Teaching and Learning in the Faculty of Social Work, and I'm pleased to be here to support Kwan with the presentation on the study that he championed. And certainly, I would invite you to also share your experience of how we can make use of the learning in our work with newcomers.
So thank you, Hugh, for your introductions. I just want to emphasize that as an international student, I really consider I really interested in and consider how immigrants can be integrated into um, multicultural society like Canada. So it's part of our commitment to youth development uh, and support. So that's why we come to the study, and the study cannot be done without my supervisor Hugh for his long-term support and encouragement, because it also follow us from 2018, and now we can complete this research and sharing the finding with you. And I really appreciate the opportunity, and I hope that we can go beyond the finding of the study today. We can share we can share our experiences for find the best way to support young people, especially for those who are newcomer to the Canada. So for now, I will share my presentation, and because I speak English at my second language, so please let me know if I talk too fast or too hard to hear. So I will try my best, but just feel free to let me know if I go too fast. I will share my screen, the window. Can everyone can see my screen? Okay, so just feel free to let me know if you cannot see my follow the presentations. So okay, I will start now. So welcome everyone. Thank you for your attending today. Today we would like to present the research title Perceived Discrimination and Stand-up Community Belonging Among Young Canadian Adults. So I also would like to share that the manuscript also accepted by to publish by Canadian Ethnic Study Journal, and I hope that it will be to be appear publicly after in the few months in 2025. So for the presentation today, I would like to provide the overview of the content of presentations. I'll first provide briefly about the context and purpose of the study, and I then to describe really quick about methodology and data analysis to come to the finding, and I also provide the key finding from the research, and based on the finding, I also discuss about what we need to consider of the evidence base, and I try to translate the evidence based finding to recommended strategy that could help yeah, immigrant serving sector and settler worker to support for young people. So I hope that it can bring some useful information for you when you consider the presentations. So the first, about the context of study, we realize that Canada has increasingly become more diverse in terms of different social categories, including race, gender, religion, disability, and socio-demographic profile. And we also, so recent data also report that young people, especially for those from the 15 to 34, report a weaker sense of belonging compared to the older counterpart, and the LGBTQ plus population also report a weaker sense of belonging compared to the other population in Canada. So you can see in more detail of the information when you come to the reference in the end of the presentations. And and for young people, having a strong sense of community belonging very important for them to gain their social cohesion and identity development. And increasing number of study also report that about the impact of discrimination and its potential effect on young people in on their well-being, both social and psychological impact. So it is briefly about the context of the study that's related to the topic. Okay. About the research purpose, research question and hypothesis. So the purpose, based on the context, we aim to the purpose of study is to examine if experiencing discrimination makes young people feel less connected to their community, and to understand which social demographic group are most affected. And for this, for the purpose of the study, we aim to attract the research questions. So research question is there a relationship between perceived discrimination and sense of community belonging among Canadian young adults? And if so, to what extent does perceived discrimination affect young people's sense of community belonging? And for that, we propose a hypothesis: perceived discrimination is negatively associated with the sense of community belonging among uh, young Canadian adults. So for the methodologies, we use the data from the GSS survey 2020, circle 35, social focus on social identity. So for the previous work, we use the GSS survey circle 2028, but it not quite reflect the content of the research. So we take a closer look, and we use the most released data set for the study. And for the study, we focus on the sample population of young people aged 15 to 34, with 6,326 young people. And we use we use binary logistic regression for assess the influence perceived discrimination and various socio-demographic factors impact on young Canadian young people community sense of belonging. So it is briefly about the methodology we use in the study. So do you have any question about the methodologies, about the context, and about the setting? So if so, I will. Yes. So for the other dimensions, we locate the sense of community belonging among the outcome of the analysis. So we categorize community belonging into the two categories, strong and weak sense of belonging. And we use the main independent variable is perceived discrimination. We assess all type of discrimination experienced by a young Canadian young adult, and we calculate in total whether they experience or not in the study. And we also
Juan, can you advance your slide? It's not going in. Yeah.
Okay, so I think, yeah, so thank you for that. And for assessing socio-demographic profile, we focus on different types of social demographic profile, including age, gender, ethnicity, immigration status, marital status, religions, disability status, education level, official language, and household income. And we use SPSS version 28 for analysis. So for now, I will come to the analysis and result that lead to our key finding in the study. So the first, so the first one, we conduct a descriptive demographic profile of young people, demographic profile, and as you can see here, we can see the distributions among socio-demographic profile of young people when we use in the analysis. And and what's the most interesting thing in the in this circle of GSS, that they also categorize very specific about different groups of minority, visible minority communities, such as Southeast Asian. So for the before, they do not provide in detail for the public data set. So so for the circle, they can, so because they provide more, so we can see the more different between the population among how they navigate discrimination and belonging. So I think it's very highlighted detail in this circle. So in the demographic profile distribution also highlights the also provide the foundation for further analysis in this study. So for the next step, oops. So for the next step, we conduct a bivariate analysis between socio-demographic profile with perceived discrimination and community belonging. So we conduct separately each variable with the two main outcome, namely perceived discrimination and community belonging. So you can see here in the highlight, I provide some highlight arrow for you to easy to follow. For the for young people, for younger group, they also feel more discrimination, why they feel uh, rather than older group. And for this group, they for people 15 to 24, people also feel a little bit stronger sense of belonging compared to the 15 to compared to the people from the 15 to 24. About the among minority group, you can see compared to the non-minority populations, other racialized other visible minority population also have like the different expression about their perceived discrimination and community belonging. For example, compared to the not minority people, not minority people, South Asian or Chinese or Black people also have a higher experience about chances of encounter with discriminations. But when it comes to the community belonging, they also feel for minority population, they feel more connected with their community compared to their not a visible minority counterpart. So you can see in the a different number here. Not so yes, and when so I just want to highlight the people with disability and people with religious affiliations. They also have the different experience experience when it comes to the discrimination and community belonging. So for the people facing disability with sorry with disabilities, they feel they feel more. So they feel more discriminated compared to their non-disability counterpart, and that's so it also reflect to their relate to their sense of community belonging. So we can see here people without disability feel more connected with community rather than people facing with disability. However, for people with an religious affiliation, they have a significant more sense of belonging compared to the non-religious participation group. So for the bivariate analysis, we want to so we just want to analyze separately the demographic profile to see to see whether they can connect it with either discrimination or sense of belonging, and it also provide a more baseline when we put them together. So in the to provide more comprehensive picture about how people facing discrimination why when they also when we also including there are the socio-demographic characteristic how it relate impact to their community belonging. So so in here you can see the multivariate analysis. You can see from the module 1 to module 3, but you don't need to focus much about the number. So briefly, if you can see the number below the one, below the one, like the 0.737, it indicates a negative relationship between the variable with center belonging, or otherwise if the value um, um, higher higher one, it indicates the positive relationship. So you can see here in over 3 modules, perceived discriminations. Perceived discrimination also indicate a consistent negative connected negatively connected with sense of belonging. So we can see in module 1 we do not yet include other social demographic profile, but in module 3 when we include all the other social demographic profiles, the relationship still remain negative connection with sense of belonging. So we can come to the conclusion that young people aged from 15 to 34 in Canada have a have a reduced sense of community belonging when they experience discriminations. And you can see here we have the compared to the first generations, the second and third generation of immigrant show lower sense of community belonging compared to compared to the first generation of immigrants. So it also also the issue that what we need to consider, because the second and third generation also have a more time and more sense of integrated with the Canadian context, but yes, they feel weaker sense of belonging compared to the first one. And you can see here among the minority people, among a minority group, Filipino Filipino remain the have the strongest sense of belonging compared to the compared to the other compared to the not a visible minority populations. And actually you can see here the we can see here the in the module 3, the community, the Arab, Canadian, and West Asians also indicate a consistent, stronger sense of belonging compared to the non-minority counterparts. So so we can see here also facing discrimination, but some minority populations also have a stronger sense, or also other also face some challenge when they when come to the feel when come to their feeling connection with their community. And we just want to emphasize that disability status also remain negative relationship with communities belonging. So it means the facing disability experiences also a barrier when come to the when come to more feel more connected with the community, with their community. And it also highlights the highlight, also a highlight issue that we need to consider to support for people living with disability. And we can see here religious affiliation again also come to the protective factors that mean when people engage in religious affiliation, they can have more chances to gain more integration and engagement with their community. And we can see here also we can see here elsewhere compared to the men, women also have more feeling connected with the community compared to the man counterpart. So among here is a highlight when we come to when we bring together all socio-demographic profile with perceived discrimination among young people in Canada. So it provides a little bit evidence-based finding to support our claim. So based on the analysis, I just come to the conclude some key finding from the from the study. The first one, we can see a decline in the sense of community belonging among young adults aged 15 to 34 in Canada, and we can see the direct link between perceived discrimination and reduced sense of belonging among young people. So we can see from the bivariate and multivariable analysis uh, to support for this finding. And we also want to highlight that young people with disability report a weaker sense of belonging when they're facing discrimination. Sorry. And for the compared to the first generation, young immigrant in the second and third generation also report a weaker sense of community belonging. And here I just want to pull out some conclusion about among other the other profile that compared to the men, women, and married people compared to the unmarried people, and people with religious affiliation also maintain a stronger sense of belonging. And we can see that a certain racialized community member, namely South Asian, Filipino, West Asian, and Arab Canadian, also report a stronger sense of community belonging. So what we need to consider here, so overall, for young people in Canada, discrimination also is significant hinder a sense of community belongings, and a stronger sense of community belonging very important for the social cohesion and community relations. And we also find that inclusive action and policy can foster for supporting for supporting community for young people, and we call for the more inclusive and policy that can be offering more resources to local community programs and ongoing anti-discrimination initiative for supporting young people so can be immigrant can be more integrated with their communities. So actually, based on the fighting for those who working in the immigrants service sector, we would like to offer some recommended strategy that could that we hopefully could contribute to the to support for immigrant youth better. So so we believe that it is very important to develop the targeted program and services for addressing some unique experiences of immigrant youth, particularly for those facing with discriminations. And we also believe that if we can offer and establish a mentorship program that connecting young newcomer with the senior community member for more guidance and support will effectively to support them in to feel more connected with their community. And we think it also very important for collaborate with school and implement and offer for peer support initiative to support for young newcomers. So looking from the community development, we advocate for provide more community-based and leadership development program for to empower immigrant youth to especially for the skill of advocacy and civic engagement when they come to the new society like Canada. We also believe that it necessary to continue conduct capacity building workshop for both service provider and community members on cultural competence, bias awareness, and anti-discrimination. Sorry. And finally, for the funding and policy advocacy, we also support for to continue advocate for government funding to support for local community service organization and policy among policy to promote inclusive community development that will help to young immigrant to be more to gain more their to foster their inclusion and community belonging in their communities. So here is some selected references for you for further information that you would like to look at into the study. And thank you very much for your attention to the presentation. I know it's I know you have a lot of information, and I would like to hear more questions from you, and also would like to hear more experiences that we can come to see this.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. We've already had some questions come in, which is great to see. So maybe I can start with those if that's okay. Okay, great. So Lizette asked, so the sense of belonging in second and third generations doesn't improve from their ancestors? Question mark.
So from my view, maybe for young people in the second and generation and third generation feel more feel less connected with their community compared to their ancestor. Maybe because we're living into the area of technologies develop advancements. They also spend a lot of time engage in some online platform that that may prevent that may hinder them from the engage in real life interaction and activity. And maybe sometimes the culture change. Sometimes so they can feel less connected with their community. Instead, they tend to engage with more online community. So I think it's part of it will also impact to their community belonging.
Maybe I'll just add a bit more. I think the finding consistent with other studies before that this is before social media time, that looking at the experience of different generation over time, and typically people from third generation reported less of a sense of belonging and even Canadian identity. So I think there's a number of studies that raise alarm about the decline sense of belonging among the successive generation. And I think maybe from the newcomers support, think about way that we, quite often we think about first generation immigrant and their needs. Perhaps there's a challenge for us to work with racialized, with families of immigrant families, to think about how do we support better of the second generation. Also the unique experience of second generation and third generation with discrimination, their awareness of the analysis in a way that they recognize the experiences. So I think there's a lot more that we can learn about why it has been an ongoing issues for second and third generation to continue to feel lesser sense of belonging when they in fact should, given that they born and raised in Canada.
Thank you both for that response. I did have a follow-up question, which is, are they also isolated from their own cultural communities?
Sorry, I didn't hear quite the questions. Can you repeat that, Lindsay?
Yeah. So the follow-up question is, are they also isolated from their own cultural communities?
So actually, we have not enough information to answer this question. Yes, but consistent with the, I think it also reflect in the early research. Also show that when they so in the when they feel more discriminated, when they facing discrimination, uh, some people also come to the find the other alternative support, and part of it maybe ethnic and religious. ethnic and religious community also become a protective factor that help you to that help them to avoid to deal with the experience of discrimination. So maybe they feel more connected with their own communities.
So if I hear the
Also,
question correctly, the question is whether they also feel disconnected to their own cultural community. So for this particular study, I don't think there's analysis that point to that, but from the studies that we have conducted, looking at the experience of vulnerable and crime-involved youth, there sign that young people who did not feel belong to the larger community also did not feel connected to their own ethnocultural communities. So I think that's a the another dynamic that we have to attend to when we support young people who are most vulnerable, because the sign that not only they not connecting to the broad community, but they also do not connect to their own cultural communities, and that would make them even more vulnerable for negative influences in their lives.
Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, we'll just wait for more questions. Feel free to raise your hand. You can put them into the chat or the Q&A function as well. And maybe as we're waiting for questions to roll in, I just wanted to highlight, I really appreciated the intersectionality piece of your study, and also kind of this drawing attention to intersecting identities, not only visible minority status, but also looking at age, gender, religious affiliation. I think it gives you a really holistic look on how sometimes these pieces of identity can compound onto each other. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. And maybe
Another
while I
hopeful
have,
sign is that not everything is, I think there's a aspect of resilience in here that we can also identify. So even though women, the people experience discrimination, women, people who married, people with religious affiliation, maintain a stronger sense of identity, of belonging. And perhaps we can study, because sometimes we study all of the vulnerabilities people have. But I think maybe it's time for us to also looking at the strength among, racialized folks from immigrant background, from women, gender identities, and the religious affiliation, because sometimes they also help them navigate through the difficult experience in the community. So my point is that while we looking at the specific vulnerabilities due to people's social location, we can also begin to looking at how having strong connection to religious communities, having strong connection to women support group can help folks to deal with incidents of discrimination.
absolutely. Okay, great. And maybe while I have the floor, I can ask a question of my own. You had a lot of great recommended strategies. I'm wondering if you had to choose one for some of our practitioners here to start with, is there one that stands out amongst the others?
I think I would start with you, and when I go to research presentation like this, it can be a good starting point for me to talk with the people I work with. So if the studies have highlighted that people from different generation have experienced a declined sense of belonging, I would imagine that having a person coming from a second, third generation in my office from immigrant families, It could be a starting point for a conversation of what it has been your experience. Is it in line with your experience? If yes, these are quantitative measures, so they don't really tell the specific experience, but sometimes it can be a good starting point of what it's like to be a person in where you are at, in your family, in the community. And then that conversation can allow us to talk about the specific experiences, assess where people are at, the difficulties they may need the support in a way that help us to develop some support in place for them. Same thing with the positive thing we learned about the experience of women, of being person of religious affiliation that can impact them in a positive way. We can check in with people and perhaps encourage them to tap into the resources within the community. So the way I look at research and research finding is that how can I use this as a starting point to have conversation with the people I work with? And from that, how can I also individualize my support for them in a way that respond to their realities?
Thank you so much for that. Okay, wonderful. Well, I'll keep an eye out for any incoming questions here. Is there anything else that either of you would like to have?
And as Kwan said, the papers will be published and typically it's available online for folks to review. So feel free to reach out to Kwan and myself if you have any questions about the specific studies. I know there's a lot of numbers thrown at you, so I would attend to the key findings. So how do we better understand and support people from second and third generation who have weaker sense of belonging than first generation? How do we tap into the resilience of women, of people with certain religious affiliation, people from certain ethnic groups such as South Asian, Filipino, West Asian, Arab Canadians? How do we learn about the strength in the communities in a way that help us to support people to have better sense of belonging in spite of the difficulty experience of discrimination that people often find themselves in?
And we did have another question roll in. The question is, I see that the age group starts at 15, which is middle school age. Was there any data or is there a desire to examine this at the K to 12 level?
So thank you for the question. I can roll up to the table data, so whether we can see anything here. Actually, so actually in our comprehensive analysis, people with the so for the education level have not show any significant connection with sense of belonging, but as you say, it's very important about how we see the data. If even we can see no significant connection here, but it does not mean the experience that not mean the issue doesn't the issue doesn't matter or does not show any insight. For here you can see for the education level you can see so less than high school maybe for folk from the periods also indicate like but slightly I think it's slightly weaker sense of belonging, but it not show evident in the analysis. But from the primary preliminary here, we can see. But but mostly for the age in the GSS survey, it comes from the 15 and older. So maybe in the next maybe in the next survey, the Statistics Canada can be released more like the smaller age group category, so we can see it better impact or connection between between that. So
I think you raise good questions about access to data. The reality is that a lot of the data set that we have in Canada very much out of bias. And I could imagine the complexity of having, consent and age appropriate measure in a way that allow young people to have voices. So I take the question in a way that how can we make sure that young people have a say in research? Because as you can see, if they don't really participate in survey like this, it means their voice is not heard. In the same way that when we think about democratic voting, young people don't really have a chance to vote either. So I take it from not just availability of data, but how do we, working with young people, advocate for more access to having the voices heard, the experience captured in research.
yes, so I totally agree with that because we also, especially for immigrant youth, when they come to the new, when they come to Canada as a newcomer, they also need for more training and advocacy for advocacy skill and civic engagement skill. So that will help them to participate more in decision making processes. So I think it part of it also maybe have to increase community belongingness and social integrations.
Thank you. We had another question come in. Do the different groups define belonging differently?
Can you repeat the questions?
Yep. Do the different groups define belonging differently? And I think they're speaking maybe to the definition, and I was wondering about this too, of kind of community belonging and that strong sense of community belonging. Are there different definitions amongst different groups, or was there a common definition that was used in the study?
Maybe for this particular study, when you're looking at the measure, was there anything that they operationalize what belonging means to the people who participate in the survey, or they're just asking, do you feel belonging?
So I think for the original question in the GTX, they just asked the question about how do you um, like they just ask a very direct question about how they feel about how to what extent they feel about their community belonging. So they provide a different scale on that, like but not they do not offer the question about how they conceptualize belonging in here.
It sounds like for those who are interested in qualitative research, you can help to, I think it's a great question. How do we conceptualize belonging, especially in the context of people from diverse backgrounds? So I would imagine conversation with young racialized queer community member belonging would be very different from people with disability who may have particular experience. So I think it's a good question to ask in the context of research, and we need to understand how belonging looks like for people from diverse background, so that we don't have that one size fit all thinking about what belong means for the people we work with. So I would highly recommend whoever raised that question to continue to pursue that question because it's a good research question.
Wonderful. And I'll maybe just do a last invitation for any questions or thoughts on the presentation before we wrap up here. Thank
Maybe
you both.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I would be curious for those who work at frontline, especially with young people, people from diverse background. Are the study finding consistent with your own experience in the field? Or is there any contradiction that potentially we also need to looking at? So for those who have worked in the fields, are they reinforcing what you have experienced or interacted with young people?
Hi. Hi.
Hi, Christina. We can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. Young people, I think it's more. It depends more on them. I've worked with kids of school age till from about kindergarten to grade 12. What I have seen is when these kids participate in the day-to-day activities, if, be it school, volunteering at a club, volunteering in this with the city, volunteering in a church, kids, the even immigrant kids and kids who are landed and they try to get as soon as they can, they try to adapt. Those kids have not, I mean, they face all kinds of things, but their coping mechanism I have seen is much better than the kids that don't take the initiative to either try to be in a leadership program or try to be on the in the forefront. So it's us trying to encourage these kids to be able to volunteer within the community, within their own social space, wherever they feel. And there is a lot of promotion. You need to keep on promoting these kids, which means we should have like I think we should have like like a support system within every school for immigrant kids, that they can go and hang out or relax or be able to express themselves, and then slowly they will get into the mainstream leadership roles and stuff like that. So this survey definitely is indicative of all of whatever it states, but in the long run, I feel that the kids who have taken or who have been promoted or who have been volunteered to do some activities, they have much better coping mechanism, as well as they feel much a sense of achievement and accomplishment. I have seen both kinds of kids, who people who don't volunteer, people who volunteer, people who try their best to facing all these situations, they still try to make it. So it depends. It's on a case to case basis, definitely.
I appreciate your comments because I think it validates the importance of empowering young people, of validating who they are, and also creating opportunities for them to be part of the community. And whether it's through volunteer or through leadership program, those are protective factors for young people.
Thank you, Christina, for sharing. We appreciate your insight.
My pleasure.
Okay, any other questions that we want to ask the group, or that the group wants to ask our presenters?
Do we have a plan going forward? What is the plan, and what the kind of contribution or kind of assistance will be available to immigrant children or people with diverse backgrounds?
I would imagine that there's a sector in Calgary and across Alberta that support young people. I'm aware of the many of the program specifically support first generation immigrants. So we have the Center for Newcomers, have Real Me program. We have the Calgary Bridge Foundation that also recently launched a program to support young people at risk. We have program at the all of these immigrant serving agency from newcomers, from the Calgary Immigrant Services to Calgary Catholic Immigration Society. So I would imagine that I hope the sector coordinate and offer the services to young people. And in my previous work, we tried to map out the journey toward integration, and certainly time have changed, and we can also consider different generation in here. So I think there's an opportunity for the sector to come together to map out what are the needs, what are the pathway toward integration for young people from diverse background, and how do we provide the services, and where are the gaps, and how can we develop programs. So I trust, the sector will continue that kind of coordination among service providers.
Wonderful. And I'm just seeing some comments come into the Q&A here, just saying it's really wonderful information, a lot of thank yous for the presentation. So I just want to relay that on to you both. Thank you so much for joining us today, and all the wonderful information, and also, yeah, just your insight and bringing awareness to this really important topic. Much appreciated. And with that, I think we will wrap up for today, put a little bit more time in people's calendars. Thank you so much for everyone who joined us. Of course, Kwan and Hugh, thank you so much.
Thank you, folks. It's great to see everyone today.
Thank you, everyone, and have a good day.
Take care. Thank you, Lindsay, for your help.
Of course. Yeah, lots of
Right.
thank yous piling into the chat here.
And if people want more information, ask them to, and I'm sure Kwan will make the resource available to folks too.
Absolutely. Yeah, we can send it out in a follow-up email.
All right. Good to see
Hi,
you,
Hugh.
Vipa. How are you?
Yeah, very nice to see you here. Hi, Kwan. I hope you remember me, Kwan.
Yes, I remember you.
You do. Yeah.
Good to see
Thank you
you.
so much
Well,
for
it's a good
finding time
network.
to. Sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. It's a good network with lots of people showing up. So I'm glad to see a vibrant hub of people coming together.
Yes, yeah. We like to be a little proud, take pride in the work that we have been doing here. It's moving in the right direction with baby steps, but yes, a great group of people. Um, Learning or striving to learn about the sector, about the research, about the practices, and all of that. So that's what these lunch and learn sessions are about. And I just wanted to personally say thank you to Kwan and Hugh, both of you. I know, Hugh, I've been meeting him in like on various occasions, but it's very nice to see you, Kwan. Where are you in your PhD program now?
Yeah, so I intend to defend my thesis this year, so it takes me a long journey, but I think I will come to defend my thesis this year. And yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, best of luck for that. My best wishes for a successful. I mean, you'll do great. I know that. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that. I really hope that maybe next time we can have an opportunity to networking in person. And for now, I just want to say hello from Vietnam. It's just our yeah, it's a early morning here. So, but
Yeah.
it's a good thing people.
Yeah. Are you?
And thank you for all the good work, Vipa.
Sorry.
I said thank you for all the good work that you're doing with the Knowledge Hub.
And thank you for contributing your knowledge and wisdom. Yeah, so it can't be, it's a network, it's a collaborative, so we can't do anything without support from the community. So thank you so much for your support. Are you planning to be at Metropolis in Toronto?
For me or for Kwan?
For both of you.
No, I'm not able to go this year.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I was just like I was thinking that maybe we can connect there because
Yeah,
I regularly see you at Metropolises.
yes. Last time I was there, but this year I decided that too many things to do.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
So, well, good to
Okay.
see everyone, and thank you, Lindsay, for and again, Viva, for inviting us, and thank you, Juan, for showing up at early in the morning in Vietnam. So,
Oh,
my.
oh, is he in Vietnam?
Yes, I just take a time to visit my family here, and but still, it's a good opportunity to meeting people virtually.
Wow.
Oh.
well, that's a joy of remote work. Nobody know.
Yeah, nobody knows. With the virtual background, no one can really know where you are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Have a good day, folks. Good to see you.
Yes.
good to see you.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
Bye-bye.
both so much.
Take
Bye
care.
bye.
Bye,
Bye.
Kwan.
Bye now. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and end the meeting now. Thank you, everyone.